then I know that Texas has unique regulations around mold and mold inspection in the process. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, Texas is unique in regards to other states. There are a few other states that do have mold regulations. Texas is one of them. But to start, anyone participating in mold inspections and mold remediation activities must be licensed. So you'll hear certified mold inspector in many states, but in Texas, you would refer to them as a licensed mold assessment consultant or a licensed mold remediation contractor, the one that's actually removing the mold. The whole point of the regulations is to prevent conflicts of interest. I've had clients report stories prior to the regulations where there were companies coming in and marking up baseboards with mascara, and they would call that mold growth. That would lead to a big insurance claim.
Oh my
So
gosh.
insurance companies were dishing out a lot of money for problems that weren't maybe as large as they appeared to be. But yeah, in Texas, there's a certain process that has to be followed to have mold remediation done by professionals. The first step would be to utilize a mold assessment consulting company like us to perform an initial investigation. That's where we're doing our visual procedural assessment, our moisture investigation, which is the main focus of that investigation. We're putting together a sampling strategy to ultimately learn what the full presence and extent of indoor mold growth is. If that assessment reveals a mold problem, it is recommended that a professional or a licensed mold remediation company handle that work. The next step would be to have a mold remediation protocol prepared. That protocol defines how that remediation should be done. Our protocols typically include a detailed floor plan. It'll outline what materials need to be removed, where certain engineering controls need to be put in place. So that can include containments where the company is hanging plastic, where they're installing HEPA filtration systems or negative air machines. So that protocol is utilized to get estimates and bids from remediation companies, and it's a requirement to actually bring that company in to do the work. And the goal of that, again, is to prevent conflicts of interest. It prevents companies coming in and telling you need to do more work than you actually need to do to handle the mold successfully. It provides some oversight into the whole project. But after the remediation is done, you also want assurances that it was done correctly and successfully. So the final step after the work is done, before any new building materials are put back, while those containments I mentioned are still in place, we come back in to perform what's called a post-remediation clearance assessment. So it's a re-inspection and testing visit focused on the areas that were outlined in the protocol for work to be done. The Texas regulations require analytical data to clear an environment or to prove that the mold remediation was successful. So we're taking various air and surface samples, sometimes more advanced sampling for our mold sensitive patients. But after that investigation and testing reveals successful results or clean results, we provide a post-remediation clearance report. And then in Texas, one of the main goals of going this route, aside from having assurances that the professionals are taking care of it, it's to receive a certificate of mold damage remediation form. That's a document that's signed by us or a licensed mold assessment company, as well as the licensed remediation contractor. I like to say that's kind of your stamp of approval that the regulations were followed and the mold was handled successfully. That certificate, it prevents an insurer from making an underwriting decision on the home. It's supposed to be included in your disclosures within 5 years of receiving those certificates. So it can be very valuable for the home's resale as well, proven that your mold problem was taken care of correctly and completely.
That was so helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.